Howdy folks, welcome to another episode of the Rifle YouTube channel. Today I've taken a Russian SKS made in 1954. I've slapped in a spare stock and I've bedded it. I've free floated the front ferrule. Well, it's making minimal contact at the front ferrule. And I've bedded it 3 locations: at the rear lug, at the front receiver lug, and in the middle where the tongs reach down to connect to the magazine and trigger system. So that's an anchor point, so I bedded that location too. Many of you have said, I've been reading the forums, why bother bedding the SKS? It's not going to do anything to really improve it. Well, I don't know. You never know till you try. So that's what I did. And I hope what I did is going to work. And I'm just going to staple up a target. And I'll show you what I did here real quick, and then we'll do some shooting and look at the results. We'll do a before and after. I did a video sometime not too long ago, right here. If you want to see that video, click here. It'll show you kind of the groups that I was getting. There was a fair amount of contact along the barrel channel that's been opened up, and I'm curious to see what will happen. If you want to find out for yourself, stay tuned. I'm sitting here with Boris, the SKS, looking at the bedding on this rifle, and I'm thinking there's something I can do about accurizing this rifle. A couple of things to make note of is that here you can see where that line is that I've scratched in the paint. That's how much movement there is in the receiver from back and forth. There's about 2 millimeters of movement there. And it's positioned the way it is now. It is actually making contact with the lug at this point right here, which is where you want it to be. However, when it's actually locked into the stock, it sits right around there, so about 2 millimeters to the rear. Additionally, looking at this thing here, there's a huge space on this side of the stock in the barrel channel, and it's totally touching on the other side. One of the reasons why I figure I've got my front sight all the way over to one side is because of these different issues. That seems to be where it needs to be zeroed right now at 100 meters. That's a pretty big shift. It kind of looks like a weird sight picture. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bed this area here, and I'm also going to bed on either side of these. Oops, you can't even see that. I'm going to bed on either side of these 2 receiver supports here. I'm going to bed here next to the other recoil lug. So 1 point here, 1 point here, and 1 point right around here to give it some lateral support. I'm also going to use the kind of the Art Lupino method of shimming the front ferrule on the stock here, like you would with an M14 rifle if you're going to be bedding it, to give it a little bit of movement in this area here. I think this is a big problem with accuracy, is when this thing is like fixed, it's not able to move. So I'm going to try to do something about that. And it's not sitting square in the stock. I mean, even the bayonet is touching one side of the groove here. All of that stuff translates to poor performance. So I'm going to give it a try. I mean, I don't really have anything to lose. Okay, here we go. We got our areas here grouted out and ready for anchoring of the putty. I'll be using just JB Weld It's actually the marine weld, because it's specifically good about working in around chemicals and petroleum products, so it won't soften up, almost like a marine tex. So we got this area here at the rear of the receiver, recoil lug there, reinforced bolt there. I put them right in the middle here because this is where the tongs go down, so I wanted to have some stability there. And right here, right around the that's actually just right underneath the rear sight area right there. That's where that is. Again, right around the recoil lug. And I got one extra spot here. I don't know if I'll use it or not. I'll probably put some putty right around this area. But we are just forward of the Knox farm here, so this putty will be right and around this area. I don't know that I need it, but if it doesn't quite work, I can always just remove it later. And at the front ferrule, I've tuck tape on some shim material. This is just basically a little piece of tin can or beer can, pop can, whatever you got, and you just kind of tape it on there so that you've got a gap at the front ferrule, so there's a little bit of free floating movement right at that point, and so it's not binding at the front ferrule. So that's the idea. And this area has been all sanded out, so we've got a free floated barrel channel as well. Okay, let's putty her up and see what happens. Okay, first of all, so for our release agent, we will be using some polyvinyl acetate, which is wood glue, white glue. You can use Elmer's or whatever you can get your hands on. But what I want to first do is I want to degrease the areas that are going to be coming in contact with the putty. I'm going to just use some good old-fashioned brake cleaner here. Wipe these areas down. This helps this will also help the release agent or the polyvinyl acetate to adhere rather than being kind of patchy or gloopy. So we don't want this thing getting stuck to the action. Only problem is it'll take the paint off too, so be cognizant of that. Got the teeter-totter set up, so 1, 2, 3, almost like a triangle. Okay, for some proper support. Here's our barreled action. Let's stick it in. There. Okay. This is after all the trimming and all the fancy doodads. So there is around the front cross bolt. Put this down. Where's my pointer? I'll use the piston as a pointer. So here I've got a little block here and a little block here. Unfortunately, a piece broke off right here, but seems to be doing okay. Probably because I didn't sink enough anchors in any anchors actually. That might just be slag or overflow, but definitely anchored in around this area here. This is what I'm really paying attention to. These two areas here. This is just a freebie. Moving along. This is might not be a key area, but I decided to do it anyway. So I don't really care about anything up here. I've got contact here, and I've got contact here, all the way down the tongue. And you are going to have to remove a fair amount of area right in here, because that's where the hook goes in to the steel. Okay, the steel insert, you can see it's kind of where the hook is. That's where your trigger assembly hooks into. So that area is nice and strong. Moving over here, there's nothing underneath the trigger guard, but you can see I have bedded in this area here. And looking at it from the top, nice flat foundation base here, and a couple of ears coming off the sides just to give it a little bit of lateral support. You can see just the amount of material, the amount of space that was on either side of the rifle. 1 to 2 millimeters space all the way around. Not a lot of really good contact in this area here, but I don't think you really need it. As long as you get this area here nicely done, you should be good to go. So the barrel channel has been opened up. I have opened up the barrel channel. I did not bed in this area. And all the way around the front ferrule, I put some shim stock in there before I seated the stock into the rifle. So there is about 1 millimeter of space all the way around this area. And I am going to seal this, probably with, not with a varnish, but some kind of material that will soak into the wood, just to stop it from swelling. This area needs to be soaked in probably like a marine oil or something to that effect. Okay, I'm going to shoot one 10-round group and then assess group size and point of impact. How many rounds we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10 rounds. Of course, because of our silly Canadian gun laws, I have a SKS with a internal round magazine. Internal box magazine pinned to 5 rounds. Here we go. The ammunition today is Bulgarian surplus, 123 grain. It's not considered to be highly accurate, but it goes bang. Okay, let's go look at the target. This is an amazing improvement. We got one flyer here, but we got 9 rounds inside of, geez, about 1.5 inches by 3 inches. That is exceptional for an SKS. So I say, yes, the SKS can be accurized. Damn, it's cold. It's about -30 right now, plus about 40-kilometer winds. I'm totally blown away by this. I am totally blown away by that. Obviously, I got to do a sight correction to bring the group back down. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1.5 by 3 inches. Naysayers, you've been proven false. So let me tell you a little bit about what I did. There was so much space in between the barreled action and the stock. It took 2 bedding processes for me to get this thing tight. And the first one was kind of like a skim bedding. I took it out to the range and I shot it, and I didn't actually see any difference in group size. Point of impact totally changed, and there were fewer flyers. So I was thinking, skim bedding. Maybe okay. Let's finish. Do the second pass on the bedding. Build it back up to where it's nice and tight, and there we go. Could you call that 3 minutes of angle, 2.5, maybe even 2 minutes of angle rifle at 100 meters off bags for an SKS? In my opinion, that's almost unheard of. Now, don't forget, this is an original Russian laminated stock. I chose laminated because it's stronger. And yeah, I need to repaint it because the bedding process, I got epoxy all over the rifle and tape and scraping off chunks that have adhered to the rifle and so on. So it needs to be fixed up a little bit and given a new coat of paint. But Boris, the Arctic Warrior, can shoot when you give it the right conditions. So I say go ahead and bed your rifle with confidence, guys. That's a victory. I hope you got something out of that. Lots of people are calling the SKS the new Lee Enfield, in that you can buy ammunition quite readily for them, and the rifles themselves are fairly inexpensive. I agree and I don't agree, but if it gets you into shooting and you can get groups like this, it's well worth the money. Hope you enjoyed that, folks. Rifle Tour signing off, and as always, Maple Leaf up. "200 meters, steel plate, around 12 inches by 8 inches. All right, 5 out of 5. An SKS that's a shooter, how about that? Gotta get those corrosive salts out, and hot water is just the affordable solution to that.